Go to Sleep Foundation by Bailey Rexroad. My organization is the Go to Sleep Foundation. We're a non-for-profit organization located in Spalding, Illinois. We work really hard to promote the awareness of sleep disorders. We're also able to diagnose sleep disorders with the help of our sleep specialists, who also help us to treat and maintain diagnosed sleep disorders. We also offer activities for those suffering or families with those suffering from sleep disorders with things such as support groups that we hold, family fun weekends, we have weekend retreats, help around the house, which are our volunteer nannies, many things to help those who are suffering to know that they're not alone. Our goal is to serve those within our community who are suffering from sleep disorders. 80% of Americans living with sleep apnea have no idea and are living undiagnosed. Sleep apnea, in fact, is a life-threatening disorder in some cases, depending on the severity. And because of this, that is why we have an overreaching goal to help all of those suffering and even those who think they might have a sleep disorder or are just having trouble sleeping and need some medical attention or advice to figure out what they have going on. Our mission statement and how we plan to do what we are wanting to do is all going to be through volunteer work. We have many people throughout our community that are suffering from sleep disorders or family members of those suffering with sleep disorders who do all of our promoting, and they do them typically on weekends at local gatherings that we may have going on, or even public places such as our local gas stations or grocery stores. We also have our volunteer sleep specialists who work in our clinics as needed. They do everything unpaid. Their time is completely volunteer work. We also have those who work in our clinic that are not specialists, but they are also volunteers, such as receptionists, people who are helping others schedule appointments, do different things like that. Everyone in our clinic does work strictly as a volunteer and is working strictly to help people and not for the benefit of themselves. For my interview, I chose to interview my grandma Maria. She is a nurse practitioner in a family practice. Her first job in the medical field was a sleep technician, which is why I chose to interview her. She has a very good understanding about diagnosing sleep disorders, what goes into sleep studies, treatments, whether it's non-medical such as weight loss, not being on your phone before bed, avoiding caffeine, things like that, but also the medical treatment side of it, such as wearing a CPAP at night to treat sleep apnea, or even medications that may need to be prescribed. She also has a good understanding about the causes, whether it be psychological disorders such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, but also things such as obesity. One of the main things that I noticed whenever I was interviewing her is how serious she got when we started to talk about whether or not someone should seek medical attention when they think that they have a sleep disorder. She feels very strongly about this and feels very strongly that people should seek medical attention because although it may not seem like it is such a big deal, things such as insomnia, just not being able to sleep at night, people think that that's no big deal, but there are sleep disorders that people may be suffering from that could cause death, such as sleep apnea and other things that go into that. It is very serious that people do seek medical attention even whenever they don't think it may be very serious, because a lot of the time people will have no idea that they are suffering from something that could be potentially fatal. In the article, The Prevalence of Sleep Disorders in College Students, They looked at sleep disorders in college students and the relationship that it had to their GPA. They conducted a study in which they handed out surveys to college students. The surveys were asking how much sleep the college students were getting, as well as what was affecting this number. With the amount of sleep each college student was getting every night and the affecting factor that was contributing to that number, the study was able to prove that there is a direct correlation between having a bad GPA and college students having a sleep disorder, mainly talking about insomnia. In the article, rice bran extract supplement improves sleep efficiency and sleep onset in adults with sleep disturbance, a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled polysomnographic study. They compared the effects that a rice bran supplement had on an individual's sleep compared to placebo. And in the study, they found that the individuals receiving placebo showed just as much of a dramatic improvement to their sleep as those receiving the rice bran supplement. The author's research focus is on the effect that your brain has on your sleep. And in this case, it shows a very strong effect that it can have on your sleep, considering, for those of you who don't know, placebo is a pill that is given that actually has no effect. It is only given for psychological use. In the article, poor sleep quality among adolescents with ASD is associated with depressive symptoms, problem behaviors, and conflicted family relationships. Focus on autism and other developmental disabilities, which is one of the articles that I was looking at for the annotated bibliography. In this article, the author looks at a person's home life and the correlation between individuals with autism spectrum disorder and typically developing individuals and obtaining a sleep order from other mental disorders. They're looking at how the home life affects individuals who do have autism spectrum disorder versus how a home life of a typically developing individual, how that may affect them, and as well as the effect that it will have on mental disorders. Within a mix of a couple of different studies that they were able to conduct, the author was able to compare the connections made between several factors that were affecting sleep in adolescents with autism spectrum disorder compared to those who are typically developing. The application that we will be using within our clinic, as well as be requesting that our clients use when we are working with them, is a downloadable application to any smartphone, and it is called Sleep Score. Sleep Score actually determines the quality of sleep that an individual is getting every single night, as well as the amount of sleep. Sleep Score uses the microphone on your smartphone to listen to the breaths taken as well as movements made while you are sleeping. With this, it is important to know that it is while your phone is locked, while the application is not running, so it is not burning up any of your battery or anything like that while you're sleeping throughout the middle of the night. With this information that Sleep Score is able to collect, it will then analyze the data to give in-depth information about an individual's sleep, such as the amount of sleep in each phase of sleep that an individual is getting, breathing patterns while sleeping, which this one is extremely important when diagnosing sleep apnea, and also the length of time it took for an individual to fall asleep. Sleep Score is also able to provide advice for improving sleep based on the analyzed data. We're able to recommend this to our clients because Sleep Score does have scientists working behind the screen and behind all of the things that you see up front, and they are looking at all factors affecting sleep and how to help individuals with sleeplessness and sleep disorders and things like that.
The application that we're using for our organization actually ended up making national news whenever it first came out, and here's a little video to show you guys some stuff about the application. Funding. All of our funding is provided by fundraising as well as community donations. Our community will be supporting our funds through donations year-round, whether it be at different things that we have our volunteers going out to do to collect money, or whether they send donations directly to our clinic. But this will help us stay open year-round and provide for those in need. This will help us pay for all of our bills and any of the things that we will need funding for in order to stay open and run efficiently. We're also looking to receive grants in order to perform research that we believe will help major issues that we see within some of our clients. One of those being the opioid use. We strongly believe there to be a connection between opioid use and sleep disorders. Another one being mental health disorders, or mental health illness and sleep disorders. So we're hoping to receive some grants in order to do some research and find some evidence to back up some of these theories that we have came about. Negative impacts of Medicaid. Being that our organization is located in a lower income community, this does have several impacts on us. It affects us in many ways, one being that Medicaid is federal funding, which means it takes a long time to pay medical providers. And also, when payments to us for service are late by Medicaid, it will put us behind in paying anything that we have due to other people. And the exact same issue applies for Medicare. The difference is that we don't see nearly as many clients that have Medicare because we don't see nearly as many older patients. The grant that we will be applying for is the Notice of Intent to Publish a Funding Opportunity Announcement for Basic Research on Sleep and Circadian Dependent Mechanisms Contributing to Opioid Use Disorder Grant. Due to a large amount of opioid abuse we are seeing in our community as well as within our clinic, we will be applying for this grant that will provide funding for us to find evidence that links opioid abuse to sleep disorders. If we are successful with this research and can find the information we are wanting, we believe this will have a huge impact on our abusing patients' lives. We're hoping to be able to connect sleep disorders with opioid abuse in the hope that this will turn our patients away from the use of opioids in order to cure their sleep disorders. One federal regulation that we really have to look out for within our clinic is HIPAA. HIPAA is a regulation that will have a huge impact on our organization because we too will have patient information at the tips of our fingers. This will be a major concern for us due to all of our workers at our clinic being volunteer workers. With this being said, I think that it's more because they have nothing to lose. There's nothing holding them to the job. It puts us more at risk for violating HIPAA. Some safeguards that we will be implementing are 24-hour monitoring of our technology, making sure that no patient information is sent whenever it shouldn't be, or things like that. Also, surveillance monitoring within our clinic for patient records to make sure anyone that is handling patient records or handing out patient records is doing everything that they should be and giving them to only the people that they should be. The 21st Century Cures Act. This accelerates research to approval of new drugs, approval of new medical devices, and also improving mental health care. There is $1.56 billion in funding for mapping out and researching for Brain Initiative. This act is relevant to us because Go to Sleep works to connect the problems of mental health to sleep disorders and believes the cure of mental illness will also have a major effect on curing sleep disorders. What this has meant for me. Some takeaway points for me was that health informatics is more than just science-based knowledge, which coming into this class is definitely what I thought we were going to be learning about and is definitely what I thought health informatics was all about. And something that has really stuck with me is the computer science aspect of health informatics and the technology side, things that we deal with every single day in the healthcare community, whether we are nurses, CNAs, physicians, receptionists, anyone, we all are using technology, even patients, for things such as electronic health records, information technology, mobile health, all things like that, but it also touches on information science. Another one is creating an organization has a lot more that goes into it than what I had ever imagined. The organizing part of it was probably the hardest for me, which whenever I think about that, I think about me figuring things out that I was wanting to do. Whether I was wanting to actually have a clinic, which I am, or whether it was all going to be based off of online. Just exactly what I was going to do, if we were going to have employees, if not, and then as well as things that we did within the semester, such as the grant proposal, budget proposal, looking at federal regulations and all of the things that you have to be aware of whenever running a business like that. And also, this project has allowed me to tap into my entrepreneur side that I never knew I had. Creating an organization and thinking about helping people and the things that I can actually do and implement into my own life to help people every day is something that I haven't ever really thought about before, because I've always really been focused on helping myself. And this has also taught me that I do have a side of creativity and entrepreneur in me and a drive to create something to help people and create something that can just make a change. And that is something that I really enjoyed doing. And lastly, these are my references used. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation.